I've unmuted.
That's Sunny.
That's me. You can call to order whenever you're ready, sir.
We are here for the tree committee for the city of Palatka, so we'll call this meeting to order and call on Sunny to help us out here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Reading the notice of the meeting, you hereby notify that a special called meeting of the tree committee is hereby called to be held on December 5th at City Hall located at 201 North Second Street, Palatka, Florida 32177. The meeting is called to commence at 4 p.m. If you'll excuse me, they had a meeting in here earlier and apparently the speakers are really, really loud. I turned that down a little bit. It should be a little bit better. Maybe. There we go. All right, so at this time, I will call the roll call. Keith Valentine, our chair.
Here.
Nicole Grace, our vice chair. Carolyn Smith.
Present.
Julio Perez.
Here.
Blake Josephson.
Here.
And Commissioner Will Jones.
Here.
Thank you. All members. Earl Wallace. I can't forget about you, sir. All are present and accounted for. At this time, we would move on to the minutes.
Okay, we don't swear in Blake before we go to approval of minutes.
Skipped it. So sorry.
We
Yes, sir.
are going to be swearing in our new member, Blake Josephson.
Thank you, sir. If you would rise, raise your right hand. If you would, please repeat after me. I, Blake Josephson,
I, Blake Josephson,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will faithfully perform
that I will faithfully perform
the duties of a tree committee member
the duties of a tree committee member
and will support and honor
and will support and honor
to the best of my ability
to the best of my ability
all applicable laws of the state of Florida,
all applicable laws of the state of Florida,
Putnam County,
Putnam County,
the city of Palatka.
the city of Palatka.
I hereby through this oath
I hereby through this oath
affirm that I will perform the duties
affirm that I will perform the duties
of this public trust
of this public trust
in a fair,
in a fair,
equitable, and ethical
equitable, and ethical
manner befitting
manner befitting
the dignity and responsibilities
the dignity and responsibilities
of the office.
of the office.
Welcome aboard, sir.
Thank you.
May I approach, Mr. Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Our next thing on the agenda is the approval of our minutes dated April 4th, 2022. Do we need to go over those minutes again or just approve the past? I was not here, so
Just entertain a motion to approve, or if anyone has any comments.
entertain a motion to approve the minutes from April 4th meeting.
So moved.
Minutes approved.
You would need a second and a.
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Nicole.
And then you would ask if for a vote.
Okay, is there a vote for approval?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. We'll move on to public comments, and I don't think there's anybody here to make any comments about our meeting.
Online.
Okay. Regular business, we'll move on to regular business. We have a recommendation for the Arbor Day proclamation to the city commission. This meeting was called to get this all set up, so recommendations, is there any for this proclamation? Anybody on the board? We have it set for January 20th, 2023, the Arbor Day celebration. where do we go from here, Sonny, on that? Because you've sent that notice out. You've sent the notice out, so it's in the newspaper.
No, sir, not as of yet. This board still needs to pick a time. In your packet, sir, there are quite a few questions that we would need answered in order to finalize a agenda for the Arbor Day celebration.
Do we need to approve I'll make a motion to approve the thing, or?
You can, yes, you can, to motion to approve the proclamation
Yep.
submittal.
I move to accept the proclamation as written.
Second, oh, Carolyn.
Second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that is approved.
Thank you. That would go to the January 12th City Commission meeting if anyone would like to attend.
Okay.
I think in the packet, she put the questions up there, but it looked like for that third Friday of January at 10:30.
Okay.
Good.
Hang on. I hit a button to make the audio go back and it's resetting.
That'll be January the 20th, not the 30th.
Yeah, January the 20th. It's the third Friday of, for Florida, the third Friday of January.
Okay.
And the college is pretty happy with that. I think Miss Susan was on the,
She still is.
Okay. When it comes back up, or what tree are we putting in there this year? An oak tree, just a live oak, Quercus.
we'll have to ask Susan. And then questions regarding further zoning.
Figure out why the two people-
Are we?
The last time we did a tree out there, we took part and we put it out behind the bike and center out there.
Mr. Chairman, pardon me, may I suggested that you don't conduct any business until we're back online.
Oh.
Commissioner
okay.
Jones is out
So
there.
we're offline.
As
Okay.
We've been online. It's just the TVs went off.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought we were.
Commissioner Jones, can you?
I'm still connected.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
I'm
you.
still
So
connected. I can hear you.
Okay, so that picture that we have in this packet is it the oak or just a oak? Show them what size we're putting in.
it is the oak tree, if you guys approve this.
No.
If I'll pull up a photo for Commissioner Jones to see it. Sorry about the audio, guys. That was just driving me nuts and I had to fix it. But I'm sharing a picture right now of the oak tree. This is a live oak tree was requested by St. John's River Community State College if we wish to do our Arbor Day celebration there, which I'm assuming you guys do, but if so, they requested a live oak tree, and this is a picture of the live oak tree that Futch's Landscaping is willing to donate to the city. So if you guys accept it, that's the tree.
It looks good to me from here. Earl.
Is the garden club gonna be able to take part this year?
Palmer, I think, is involved in this because I think he's speaking, isn't he?
He spoke last.
I
Uh-huh.
think that's to be determined. I think that's one of the questions on here.
Mhm.
Is who's going to participate?
Okay.
I like the garden.
Harold did last time we did it. I think he spoke too, didn't he?
Mhm.
I spoke, Nicole spoke.
May I suggest that the chair?
Yes,
lead the
sir.
Proclamation.
Oh, he wants you to read the proclamation at the event,
Okay.
Yes.
at the Arbor Day event.
Oh, you want me to read it? You said, yes, sir, I can do that.
This is not.
I know. But I can do that. That's fine.
All right, so reading the Arbor Day proclamation will be our chairman.
And that's the one here that we have the wording and everything for the city of Palatka.
Yes, sir. Of course,
Okay.
it'll change just a little bit. It'll change our new mayor's name. It'll change the date. Oh, okay, go me.
Good.
It's last year, sorry.
Okay. Do we want, is there, I don't have that program for that day. Am I-
If you don't mind, I'm happy to share, Mr. Chair, if it's acceptable. I'm happy to share kind of what I'm typing up as we go along for the Arbor Day
There
celebration.
we go.
So can we first and foremost get it out of the way, Mr. Chair, that this body agrees to do it at the college?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's it.
All okay for the college, say aye.
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 Carried the vote.
I would
Okay.
also like to include that it'll be at 10:30 as it was last year.
We can, if everyone would like, we don't have to take a motion of every single thing. If you wanted, Mr. Chair, just take a nod.
Okay,
And we'll move it to be approved at the very end. if you're-
okay,
Okay.
great.
The 10:30, and Miss Sutliff is online. May I note from the college if we have any questions as we go along?
Okay,
So welcome introductions and remarks. Last year, we may remember we asked the college's president, President Pickens, to do that. Is that something this board would like to see again, or do we have other thoughts?
I think that would be great to have him involved. Yes. So we still need a speaker for number 3 there.
Last year, as you know, it was Palmer Kinzer with the Garden Club mentioned earlier.
Okay. We can get Palmer, or if you want our new mayor, Bobby, to speak.
Okay. So we can definitely do that. We can put both Miss Robbie Correa as well as Palmer and see who's available.
Okay, Great.
Miss Sutliff, do you know if anyone from the college is willing to speak?
I believe President Pickens' calendar is available and he's willing to speak that day. So that'll be it from the college. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sutliff. Last year, you may recall that the college requested an East Palatka holly, which not a lot of people heard about, and it was one of those trees that's like everyone was interested in hearing more about. So that was the next item on the program. I don't know if, I know live oaks are much more common. I don't know how you guys feel about history of the live oak, what you want to do with that.
I personally don't want to do the history of a live oak, but I will do something on live oak. Either talking about culture or significance of the live oak in time, or just something. I don't know exactly what it's going to be titled. So, but I'll do something on the live oak.
Should we just indicate that Mr. Price will speak? And just kind of leave it at that?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Could I
That's
add
good.
something to that? For anyone that might be attending that ceremony that isn't familiar with live oaks, we have some spectacular examples in this county. One being out at the county complex. That is an absolutely gorgeous live oak. And there are also 2 magnificent ones out near the post office. And I'm a little concerned about them because that property that they're on is for sale. And I would hate to see somebody buy that and cut them down. But anyway, there are good examples of live oaks.
Yeah, it depends on where the actual event is going to be held. If it's held outside, there's nothing, I can't really do examples or, I mean, I can tell people where they are, but it won't be, I can't do like photos or.
Well, the county complex is an excellent
That's
example.
something we could ask Ms. Sutliff. Ms. Sutliff, do you know if this will be an indoor presentation like it was last year and then we go outside to plant the tree? Or was the college thinking it would be all outside or?
Well, the weather's iffy that time of year, and that's why we had it inside as far as the speaking part last year, and I thought that worked well. So Julio, we could do this in Valhalla Hall again, which has the projector and all, if you wanted to show some pictures. We would have the equipment to where we could include some kind of PowerPoint.
Okay,
You know, we were in Savannah a couple of weeks ago and they took a tour around of all those beautiful trees all around and the history behind some of them and the war stories and the oak trees. So you could make it exciting.
we'll see, yeah.
Okay. On that Arbor Day, do you see anything that we need to go over besides the games to win a free sapling? Don't know what that is, Blake.
Yeah, so I just had since basically I'm only able to procure about like 60 or so saplings with my current budget. That's spread amongst like 5 municipalities. I was just thinking of some sort of activity just to make it last a bit longer and get people more interested in what's going on. So I had a few ideas. One of them was like sort of like a scavenger hunt thing where I would say, go find Florida's state tree and go take a picture of yourself with it and then post it, show me a post on social media or something, which the state tree is the sable palmetto, I believe. Another one I had was maybe something like a beautification thing. So like go pick up 5 pieces of trash, but that might be, maybe I'll take all my ideas and have them spin a wheel or something. They have to do one of those things. Another one was just like a trivia thing. So it's like, what's that tree over there or something like that? What products do we usually get from pine trees? What do we do from hardwood trees, stuff like that. So
Would that be something that you could involve children in by having the parents take the children to?
yeah. I could also, I just or like a scavenger hunt thing. Maybe it has multiple things where it's sort of around the city, where it's like you have to go to different trees around the city or something. So.
And it is on a Friday at 10:30. Not sure how many children outside of those two necessarily be there.
Yeah. It might be a lot of just adults probably.
And of
And-
course, college students.
Mhm.
And so will that be a game that we wait on while you're doing that before we move on? Or what goes on during the games with the rest of the people?
I'm not really sure. I guess it depends on how you're thinking of setting up the schedule. For me, what I would probably do is just maybe give a time limit like 30 minutes, and then people would get that stuff within. People would get it within the first 30 minutes. They get the trees, and then the other stuff might just be left out for if we don't have enough people. They can just come and grab one basically.
Okay, so that would be right after the tree was planted. So do we all stay there for that, for the 30 minutes and watch, or are we going to have anything going on for that time while the game's being played, or do we adjourn and then you do the game? Or I'm trying to find out what your ideas where that would be.
I'm not particularly sure. I mean, it's really up to the board, I think, to sort of.
We used to, at the end. Say for number 8 is, we used to have a big tree giveaway. We gave away.
Yes.
trees that came from y'all.
Yeah.
And everybody didn't want trees, so everybody just kind of migrated over where the trees were, and those that wanted them got them. So I would think that you migrate over to wherever you got this game going on. And everybody participate.
If y'all want to adjourn before then, I've time blocked out for that on that day, so that I can just be there and hand that stuff out. So if you all want to adjourn or move on, that's fine.
I would think that if there are games involved, I think it'd be very important that whatever newspaper article there is would really speak to that, so enough people show up to make them
Yeah.
good games.
So we could put in there if you needed to, so that they could know
prizes.
20 to 30 minutes, there's gonna be a tree game or whatever, and then do we formally wait till the game's over to adjourn this Arbor Day celebration?
I mean, I'm kind of thinking, just throwing this out there as an idea from staff, you could have adjourned like because I'm thinking inside is, we did our closing comments inside. You may recall last year, Miss Grace did her closing poem before we went out to do the tree planting. So I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, are these games going to be outside? We can announce to everyone inside, hey, come outside because there's going to be the tree planting and a bunch of games in order to win some free saplings. That can kind of be how we get people outside and moving. And then people can just either choose to play the game or stand around. I mean, when I say people, I mean the public. They can either choose to stay around and play the game, or they can choose to watch the tree be planted, kind of whatever they choose to do. Each time they've got allotted, some students will be going back to their next class and. And I mean, we don't technically have to call, and we hadn't kind of talked about that yet, but we don't technically have to call your inspirational reading if that's what you choose to do this year. We don't have to call it a closing remark. We could just say inspirational reading. I mean, however the board feels.
I think about the games, I think if some segment of the public, if they know there's prizes involved, that will cause them to show up. That normally might not show up for something like this.
I know that the free trees in the past were a big draw,
Yeah, we just had big attendance in the past, and I think most of the people that attended really came to get free trees, because we had nice trees, really nice trees.
Right. Well, another thing you can think about too is starting at the beginning of Arbor Day, if you wanted to start to be going on while the Arbor Day celebration is going on, is have this, what do you call it? The game that you do where you go find stuff, just have that involved while it's going on, so that when it comes time for that, they may have already found their.
Well, the issue with that would be we want them attending the actual event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the issue. I have to be cognizant for myself, because I am involved with other cities' Arbor Day. And the other Arbor Day that is going on the same day is Interlochen. So, well, I think Blake and I have to be over in Interlochen at a specific time. So, I'm trying to have them in the afternoon sometime. I'm negotiating with them a little bit, but we just don't want to be too long with the game, so that you have time to get over to Interlochen. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah. I could make it something short. It could just be like a trivia. Maybe I just ask them what Florida's state tree is or something, something like that.
Okay. But then inside of the building is when we have our closing remarks, I guess, and then go out and plant the tree. So.
We all do go out to plant the tree. So it's not like some of us are going, all of us go, we take the shovels, take the picture, and then they start scooping the dirt in to do the physical labor of it. So that's a great time. I think Mr. Josephson to do that, or I'm not sure what your official title is. I'm sorry.
It's Putnam County Forester.
Okay, Putnam County Forester Josephson. But that would probably be enough time as they're planting the tree, as they're putting the dirt in, because usually we kind of do talk a little bit while they're doing that, and that'll give people time, and hopefully attendees from the college, as Sunny was saying, to come in and participate as well.
Good. So Nicole's last comments, closing remarks were pretty well. That closes out everything. Okay. Okay. And who do we usually have conducting this meeting? That thanks everybody for being here and has the closing. You've got the closing remarks. So Nicole, you could do that. Okay. All right.
We could split them if you wanted to.
Do we have someone else that wants to do the closing remarks?
No, you're a great person, so we could let you finish it off.
I accept.
Closing remarks slash inspirational reading, or just closing remarks, or? Sorry to be specific.
Inspiration slash closing remarks.
Yeah,
Potatoes and potatoes there, but.
Yeah, however you want it, Nicole.
I could have a suggestion on that. Had just reread one of your articles. I hope you will publish more articles like this, but you've got closing remarks right here in this article. You really do. It's a beautiful article. Thank you.
okay, well, let's move on then. Staff comments?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. And thank you, Sunny, for reminding me about the microphone. I only have a few comments, one of which I wanted to let you know that your code section is working on tree protection. We have a subdivision coming in called the Cottages. It's 194 duplex rental units out on St. John's Avenue near the business park. A tree was found on that piece of property that was larger than 36 inches in diameter. It was 50 inches in diameter, a live oak. And according to the code, it has to be brought to the planning board for their recommendation. We did that, and the engineering company ended up revising their site plan to accommodate the tree and save it. They moved some buildings around, and that tree will be there. So that's
Great.
that wasn't just me. That's the code at work. And then I also wanted to just touch on the code amendments that we had talked about at our last meeting in April. I have not made any further changes yet. Honestly, I haven't had time. But I'm also still seeking recommendations from this board on things that they'd like to see in our tree code, in our municipal code. If you're familiar with that, what muni code is, are you all familiar with that? So I'd still like to see some of that, but I also want to let you know that as part of our comprehensive plan update that is proposed for this coming year, that will, once that comprehensive plan update is complete, then we can start on revising our code, our actual land development code that we have available on the Unicode site. And a lot of those tree code changes can be done at that time, if that's something you guys are okay with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, if you have any questions, just let me know. Yes, ma'am.
I didn't know if it's in there about having, when they do new buildings, new construction. I know I'm not originally from Putnam County, but we would almost joke because they have the requisite tree out front and they have the bushes. We don't have a requisite tree. I don't think. I was noticing on St. John's Avenue. I didn't see one out front anyway. And I was going to check with you actually earlier today, but
On St. John's Avenue specifically?
well, there was two new houses that came in, but I didn't see a tree out front. So I was like, huh, it just looked funny to me because there was no tree, but
I will have to look at the code, but I'm not aware of a requirement for a tree for a new residential unit like that. Our code says that residential properties zoned R1, R1AA, R1A are exempt from the tree removal code section.
oh,
And that there really isn't a replanting. If it's exempt from that, it's also exempt from replanting requirements.
okay. That's
So-
something from another area, but it was just, like I
Yeah,
said,
I don't
I'm
think
so
we-
used to new construction and they
Having
have.
a tree, yeah. I don't see any reason why they can't be added to the code.
It's able to address mainly commercial development.
Right.
When we put it together, we felt like we didn't need to be telling private citizens what they could do and what they couldn't do on the property. You know, but anything that, unless we've changed it, and I'm not aware, of anything that, in a commercial property that is, you know, you've got a 10-foot buffer around the footprint of the building. And that's exempt from trees, except for our, we call them heritage trees, specimen trees, whatever. But, there's no requirement, I don't think, on residential to have a tree. There's no landscape requirement.
I think it was more the builders. You know, it was a requirement of the builders when they're building it, because you can't, as a homeowner, when they're building it, go out and put it in.
Oh. And she's supposed to hold her feet fire.
But there's no requirement.
No, ma'am, there isn't.
No, most of it is commercial, all the requirements pertain to commercial development.
I think that's also dealing with removal of any trees.
Removal takes into account residential, unless that's been changed.
Residential property is exempt from the tree removal requirements. Or standards, I should say standards.
So if that homeowner wants to build a home, a residential home, and then there is a 50-inch DBH oak on there, they can take it off if they want to, I think.
I haven't read it in a long time. But used to be over a certain caliber, it became a heritage or a specimen tree, and there was a new page of the book. You've been around as long as me, Carol. There was a new page of the book you had to read then, and it protected specimen. But you could still get rid of it, but you had a lot more caliber to replace it than if. But see, okay. Also important thing, everybody knows I'm the tree hugger in the city.
The code specifically says properties that are zoned residential, R1, R1A, R1AA are exempt.
And I guess we're gonna leave it that. We've talked about this in meetings over the years, but I guess we're gonna leave it that way with the new landscape code.
We don't have to. Your suggestions are
I don't
welcome.
get there just yet. We'll just wait and see what happens on that, because we love our oaks, especially here in Putnam County, but I remember when some of the members on our tree committee were commenting on that. The one lady says, I can do what I want to with my oaks. You know, we don't have any. We can't. It's hard for us to save our oaks. So, I mean, well, for the residential.
But we're kind of tall. You know, like in front of my office, it's my building. That used to be my 2.6. That is one of the most beautiful oak trees in the city. And the way I'm on the board, I mean, I want to go, was they were gassing their saws up to cut my oak tree down. And did a firestorm when we did it, because, you know, but we in the, I forget what it's called now, the median anyway, but between the sidewalk and the curb, you can't plant things. But yet we've got these big, beautiful oak trees there. And they're kind of, you know, there's too much wiggle room for somebody to get rid of them. Or either make a big Y out of them, you know, like on Main Street. And, you know, to me, all of that.
At least if our main concern has always been, and I won't push this effort right now, but our main concern has always been protecting our oaks. You know, and then we used to go around as a group and look at oaks.
At one time, we put together a walking tour
Right.
of the city, the specimen trees. And down from my office there, things are going. Chestnut, what's the tree? It's a swamp chestnut oak, something like that. It's got the big leaves. I kept finding these big leaves in my office yard, and I walked the whole area out there, you know, after work, and I would find these big leaves. And it's a tree, it was a tree down in front of that rental house behind the old Vin Dixie. And that thing was, it was a monster. And it eventually died on its own, but, we had that on the tour. We had different trees on the tour that were, they were not necessarily records, but they were beautiful trees to be looked at. And, I think there was actually a city map and, you remember, Carolyn?
It kind of rings a bell. Yeah, the one down by the Tillman House is a beauty too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
So in short, I guess what we would like to do, we're your advisory board, but we'd like to try to save all of our trees that we can. We'll go there and do our best we can as a board to help you with these.
Swamp chestnut, you looked at me funny. That's the name, isn't it? They're not around.
I'm not really familiar with common names, yeah.
Big leaf, big old.
Could I bring one more thing up? If a new homeowner is not required to plant a tree, is there any chance that the forestry department would make aware to new homeowners that there might be a tree available, little or no cost?
I mean, that really depends on sort of how the nursery or Andrew's nursery does, because sometimes I get letters from down on up saying they have extra trees and stuff like that. But generally for a lot of the trees that we sell, and we provide to people, they're bought in bulk for like plantations, so they're bought by the 1,000. So if I had some, I'd definitely be willing to hand them out to people and sort of I guess make it an event, but I just really haven't heard anything about that.
When I moved here in 81, and in Jacksonville, we just started a program, RAP, Riverside Avenue Preservation Society. It started a program, and they would give a live oak tree to a homeowner in the area. And I forget what the increments of time were, but they were gonna go back and judge it. And I think they're still judging them today. And that's what, 40 years later? But they would go back, everybody planted their tree in their yard, and it promoted trees, and a lot of other trees, and everybody planted it in their yard in kind of a conspicuous spot, so that, and they would go back like after 7 years and judge the one that was the best out of all of them that they planted. And they went back later and later and later, and we'll start something like that. Give it some incentive and give them a tree. Take care of that tree, and people aren't just going to take the tree unless they're interested in the tree. So they're gonna plant it and take care of it and give them some recognition, on the paper and all that,
Well, I recommend on the tree installations, when the commercial buildings go in, we awarded them for, what was it, Earl?
it was, I forget, it was kind of, it was, we were letting them get their name in the paper with some pictures for being the best commercial landscape of the property that year.
Okay,
Is that?
yeah,
I
that
don't know quite how to put it.
maybe we could start that program again.
Gives them a little free ad.
Yeah, it gives them, plus it just lets them know we recognize what you're doing.
Well, it's the, yeah.
Okay.
I think this is a time when we should start looking at doing residential tree preservation, especially with the growth that we're seeing in Florida and particularly in our county, the potential growth of it in our county and in our city, that if we don't take measures now, then it'll be harder to do when we get a little bit more urban. So preserving trees now is a lot easier than when we have to battle every single person to put in a tree. Just a word of caution there, or a word of,
Like, if you've driven our streets, like, you know that all the utilities aren't between the curb and the sidewalk. They got the streets all chopped up and they're going in the streets. So why can't we look again at the code that says you can't have them between the curb and the sidewalk and start allowing some trees? You know, we planted stuff like crepe myrtles, the city has, you know, in the South Historic District. Get a little bigger, you know, crepe myrtles are nice, I like them. I like the big old trees.
Some places are recommended only planting trees like oaks at least 30 feet away from underground utility lines.
We can.
well, I know I live over by the women's club, and I know that our water line is underneath the sidewalk. So you definitely don't want to have any kind of big tree. If it does get knocked over, it's going to pull up the water line. So definitely looking at that, and looking, especially when you're doing tree plantings in downtown, the size of the roots and in proximity to the buildings, it's not going to have as much room to spread and keep the trees so supported and healthy. So
if you look in front of my office, I call it my oak tree. My oak tree, they were coming along with a place of sidewalks. This tree, the roots have grown out over the sidewalk. And there's all kind of bulbous growths on it, the roots, you know, and just and the roots are out over the sidewalk. They came along to replace the sidewalk, and again, they were gassing up their saws. They were on straight down and cut all of those roots off, all this beautiful bulbous tree. You know, everybody's gonna laugh at it. But I told them, I said, don't you cut them. And it's kind of my tree that they I told them run them out through my front yard, you know. And if you look, the sidewalk runs out through the front yard of my office and back to the side, you know, to the line. And you know, we can save them. And it's a good place for them.
Okay, well, any other board comments that y'all want to add, or staff?
Can I ask
about
you to
this?
back up just a little bit, Mr. Chair? Can we entertain a motion to accept the donation of a tree from Fetch's Landscaping and to approve the program as we discussed today, subject to the availability of the speakers?
I so move.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
That's approved.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
I have one quick comment. I too love oak trees. They are my favorite. I had 5 oaks on my previous large property, large home. I downsized to my little old lady home and built right out here in town on Hargrove Street up by Ravine Gardens on a tiny little lot that had nothing on it except one dead pine tree. So the builder came and brought in 10 dump trucks full of river sand. And that's what I had to deal with on a very small lot, very small house. And this has been now almost 16 years. I planted 12, I believe it was, at least 12 crepe myrtles, tiny little 3-gallon things, Home Depot or wherever. They are now a full canopy over my house. They're leaves at the moment, but they give a shaded canopy. They bloom beautifully, and on a very small lot where a live oak just wouldn't thrive. I'm close to the street. It's close to the house. There's no room for the driveways there. The walk is there. There's no room for a beautiful tree, and it would dwarf my home. So in that case, crepe myrtles or a smaller tree, dogwoods, whatever, you know, are just as appropriate, and homeowners need to know that. we love live oaks, but there are cases for other trees as well.
I think it would behoove us to have a list of recommended trees in our municipal code. I can try to get something together for some suggested trees for different sizes to bring forth and get more everybody's comments on those selections, but I'm more than happy to try to get something together by the next tree meeting.
Good idea.
But
I think we've got a list in code of forbidden,
Correct, correct.
because there are some trees, you know, they're beautiful trees. Malibu down in South Florida, beautiful tree, but planted in the wrong place. So horrible. And, but we've got a list of.
it's also invasive, so we're not allowed to plant it in
Yeah, so
Florida.
that's what I'm saying. Tree, but it's from Australia. And, fire, you burn the Everglades, kills everything in the Everglades or strikes it back. And the Malalupas are wonderful, that the fire doesn't touch them and they continue to grow while everything else is trying to catch up to where it was. There, but anyway, we've got a list of the, you know, forbidden trees, invasive plants and things like that.
Right.
It's still in there, right?
Yes, sir.
That might
Nicole,
need
has
some
that been-
updating as well.
Out an article in the paper about that. And maybe right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. But maybe what size lot, because as Carolyn was saying, she has a smaller one and say, hey, if you're on a lot that is, 0.02 acres. That may not be a size.
Yeah,
But-
I have less than a quarter acre. I think it's very small. Yeah.
But that, organizing them by size like that. So are they Natchez crepe myrtles that you have?
I have Arapahoe, Natchez, oh shoot. I will.
So it's a
bring
mix
both
of colors.
of them, Like
Ah,
whites and pinks and various shades of pinks. There's a purpley one, which I don't remember its name, the prettiest one of all.
I'd love to see it.
Black?
The black diamond. Mhm.
No, I don't.
Yeah, I've got great.
Come by in the
both
spring.
sides. My lot, every 10 feet, when I built my house, I put crepe myrtles in. And back in those days, I didn't know there were different sized crepe myrtles.
Oh, yeah.
And I got all the big shrubs in the trees and, but they bloom and they're not the fertilizer. Right?
Yeah.
My trees, if anybody's seen my house, my trees, almost every one of them, I brought one of the offices from the woods. And planted them. No, don't laugh. You can see them. I got a weed tree out there. And I saw a pine tree, I don't know my pines and I don't know my oaks for sure. Pine is a pine and oak is an oak. So if I saw a pine that I liked, the shape of it, or the way the cone was, I got my coffee can out and I put them in there and I got 5 in my, well, I had 5, lightning struck 2 of them, but I brought those, I built my house in '85 and those pine trees are that big. And I brought them home to coffee. They were little things like that. But trees grow fast. Everybody says, oh, I know it's forever, but it's not. But then I've been here for it.
Okay, any other list?
Yeah,
Any
I
other
think we
comment?
also need to look at, I think at one time, I mentioned that I would be happy to do educational opportunities. I think that's important, especially with care and management of trees. If you look around in Palatka in general, you see a lot of crepe murder going. So proper tree trimming and proper, if the person's doing it themselves is, I think, important. So maybe we can work on getting an actual date set to do something, a city sponsored by the tree committee program or something that we can look at getting something together.
What would be your preferred time frame?
I don't have one.
We probably don't want to do it in August or.
Yeah.
If you're doing it
Not-
outside.
November, December, that's my reporting periods, but, in-
Late spring maybe.
yeah, late spring, April, maybe, that's a good time.
May I
I
ask,
will volunteer my yard as if you wanted. to have the whole town come
That's what I was
stand out
asking.
on Market Street and watch you properly prune a tree.
Sharon's yard is color coordinated. What you got, red in the front and white? in the
I got
back?
red and white in the front and pink, blue, black and red, and pink, blue and purple in the back.
Everything's it blooms. Got certain colors.
Can't hear you.
There, and she had a amaryllis. Came up, it was the wrong color when it bloomed. I got it there.
Mr. Price, would you be looking to do it inside, like with a PowerPoint, or outside, like if it's something?
Close by. We'll do a PowerPoint on proper pruning technique and then we can, or if it's on a county property or a city property, if there's a tree handy that I can do demonstrations on, that would be
Is
something.
there anything at the IFAS office by the fairgrounds? Oh,
First thing that comes to my mind is gonna be the River Center when it's up and running.
That's what I was going to say. Since it's a city project, the river center is sitting there being wasted. And you talk about, there's a nice dead creek myrtle in front of the river center that you could show what they look like if you don't do it right. And then a whole slew of them up and down the street, you can tell them the right way to do it. And have it a hands-on where people could walk up and down, and, make a thing out of it rather than just you frowning at her.
If you could do that, when you do that, maybe represent the City of Palatka Tree Committee so that they get more involved with the committee, who's sponsoring it. You would be a good speaker, a good program, but just somehow that bring the awareness to the City of Palatka Tree Committee as that being part of it. You're on the board, so it would be good for you and it would be good for the tree committee. And then if we can get Nicole going in with Palatka Daily News and have regular articles, get everything, trees start being more recognized. I used to write for a magazine in Central Florida and it was called In the Field Magazine. So I wrote 60 articles. So every month I would write an article to come out in the magazine. So if you get people aware of they don't know how to trim a crepe myrtle. And Dr. Gilman talks about the different ways, and he does cut back certain crepe myrtles way back. There's a good way to do it and a bad way. So you just get the residents, the people, commercial won't be that involved in it, but residents in Putnam would. So if we can get the tree committee recognized more, the newspaper recognize it and get more into horticulture, then that will help people in Palatka, residential people, to not cut back these live oaks too bad and plant good trees, get them more involved in it. And then this tree landscape plan for the county and the city, we need some exposure.
And there are techniques, you call it crepe myrtle. There are techniques that you can use that once you get a crepe myrtle chopped off, or whatever you want to call it, and it's got the big knobs with the big brush on it, there are techniques for pruning them and getting that sweeping, graceful branch.
No.
The sweeping, graceful, no, your friends won't know. But, get these sweeping, graceful branches and the silver bark that everybody exfoliated, that everybody loves about them, but we don't give them a chance to get to a point where they start showing all of those high dollar values, the exfoliating bark and the silver and
Oh, they're beautiful.
the multiple colors under the bark,
Well, typical homeowner does not know proper care. So, they just need to be instructed.
And maybe recognize the homeowner around in the city that, I know you ride down the road, or I do, and I'm looking at everybody's yards, and all of a sudden you see one, wow, they really improved that place, it looks like they turned on the light, and recognize these places. You don't have to have where you gotta get one every month or something like that. But when you see somebody that made the extra effort.
Recognize them. Well, that's what some of the newspapers in the other cities do. They recognize homeowners' beautiful yard of the month. So Nicole, whatever you need to do with city, we get Mary Kay, the new publisher at Palatka Daily News, maybe get more involved in this. But my suggestion would be get City of Palatka Tree Committee, get this program recognized more, and then we'll have some responsible homeowners if they know what to do.
Let me say
It'll help
one
the
more
city.
thing. When I had this accident with my arm, previously I would climb great hurdles with my pole saw and pick and choose what needed to be trimmed off. After this happened, I called two of the people that advertised in the paper and talked with them, and they were charging $1,800 or $1,500 when I told them how many trees or something, and they were planning to hat rack them. That's what they did.
I used to have climbing ropes, and when I've had 2 strokes. I'm not complaining for them. I've had 2 strokes, but before I had my strokes, even when I was not a young fellow, I had my climbing ropes, and I went all up in my trees, taking the dead wood out. All of my neighbors thought I was a complete idiot,
I know the feeling. I thought I was in that too. You old lady.
Okay, move on. We'll move on along here. Nicole, were you going to say something? Yes, ma'am.
Do we have like part of the city, do they have someone that knows how to do the video, or is that just at county? I know the library does pretty well with that, but that could go out, and if you were at a homeowner's yard and you were showing them how to, we kind of have Carolyn as a starter, but you could go out and we could, do a video of, okay, I'm clipping here, here, I need to fertilize this, and then post that on the city Facebook page or web page or but as far as a demonstration, I don't know if we have anybody that does videography. Do we have a film crew that works for the city? Maybe the county has some.
Think of one gentleman who works at the police department, but of course he's very busy. He's a captain with the PD, but.
Gotcha.
There should be plenty of videos on YouTube that could be linked to.
Thinking if Julio's doing it, and it's in the city of Palatka, a lot of transplants aren't familiar with, it's Florida, and they're like we had one person in the garden club said she dug up a hole in her front yard, and she was like, there was sand.
I got sand too, 10 dump trucks full of it.
Okay. Move on along here. Any other comments for the board or the staff?
I have none, sir.
Okay. I move that we adjourn this meeting. I'll move it.
Motion to close. Second.
Okay, well, we are
On favor.
all good for it. We'll adjourn. Aye.